everyone, and welcome back. As always, I'm your girl, Candy Washington. So before we dive into today's episode, which is breaking down all of the latest and breaking pop culture news, blind items, and Bravo drama, from is Tom Sandoval already cheating on his new girlfriend? What's going down with Lisa Barlow versus Mary Cosby? Lisa Vanderpump slamming and shading the hell out of Kyle Richards, who might not be returning to Beverly Hills. So before we dive in, go ahead and like, subscribe, and share. So with that, let's dive into today's first story. So first up, let's talk about Tom Sandoval. So first, we're going to talk about, is his new girlfriend, Victoria, going to appear on Vanderpump Rules, and we'll get a little bit more information about her. I mean, I'm going to say off of jump, she is gorgeous. She's a model slash influencer. She used to date Leonardo DiCaprio. With all that being said, I think it's a PR relationship. I think that their publicists put them together. I think she probably wants to come up. She wants her name in, magazines and all of that. So that's kind of where I land on this. But I want to know what you guys think. And then I'm also going to share with you a blind item. And this is a pretty salacious blind item. It's either about Tom Sandoval or Tom Schwartz. But I'm going to tell you why I think it's about Tom Sandoval. And is he cheating already on his girlfriend? So first, let's dive into, and this is from BravoTV.com. It says Victoria Lee Robinson has been making headlines as Tom Sandoval's new girlfriend, but will the model be popping up on Vanderpump Rules season 11? It's unlikely that Victoria will make an appearance on Vanderpump Rules season 11 as the pair's relationship began just this past January 2024. In the months since, Tom has not missed the chance to gush about Victoria. She's a model, she works a lot, and she's very successful and does well for herself. But she's also very humble and really cool, just a very sweet, thoughtful person. So when did fans first learn about Tom Sandoval's new girlfriend? As fans may recall, Sandoval and Victoria first sparked dating rumors after they went on vacation to Las Vegas and were spotted getting cozy at the bar that he co-owned with Tom Schwartz, Schwartz and Sandy's. Sandoval later took his connection with Victoria to the next level as he asked her to be his Valentine in February. Today, the two are seemingly continuing to spend time together. Now, as we know, they've been caught on TMZ, Just Jared, Page 6, but all of the photos and videos we have of them are them calling the paparazzi on themselves. Again, a lot of these celebrities do that. It's called Backgrid. That is the paparazzi company that they will call, or their publicist will call. Sometimes they even pay the paparazzi to come, and then the paparazzi shows up and they're like, oh my God, like I just want my privacy, snap, snap, snap. And then you see these photos in TMZ and Just Jared, Page 6, Radar Online. But all of those like candid shots have all been set up. It's all fake. It's all them trying to have a certain narrative. It's how certain celebrities will like debut their relationship or their separation or, push a project. I think this is clearly a PR relationship. So that's what I think, but she's a gorgeous girl. Okay, so let's just dive right into the blind item. And it's a really, really, really spicy one. Let's get into it and then we'll talk.
According to this new blind item, one of the Toms from Vanderpump Rules, either Tom Schwartz or Tom Sandoval, pretends that he is a ladies' man but allegedly hooks up with guys behind closed doors. And I think based on the clues from this blind item, we can guess which Tom they're talking about. This reality star with a side gig loves the world to think he moves from one woman to the next, and he does. But there is also the guys in West Hollywood he hooks up with a couple of nights a week, and those are the nights his girlfriend has to do something without him. She doesn't know about the guys, though. And this is allegedly Tom Sandoval and Victoria Lee Robinson, or Tom Schwartz and Sophia Scoro. And they are both on Vanderpump Rules. And the related headline reads, Tom Sandoval dating Victoria Lee Robinson after Rachel Leviss affair. The two have been spotted spending time together in Los Angeles. Tom Sandoval appears to be scandal-free and off the market again. A source close to the Vanderpump Rules star confirms to ET that he and model Victoria Lee Robinson are dating.
Okay, now that is pretty scandalous. Basically, the blind item is saying that, remember, everything is alleged, is that either Tom Sandoval or Tom Shorts will hook up with guys in West Hollywood when he's not hanging out with his girlfriend. Now, I personally think it's Tom Sandoval they're talking about, but I also want to say this disclaimer. Anytime we talk about sexuality on my platform or with the Candy Canes, it's come from a place of inclusivity. And love is love. That's how I feel. So whether he's cheating with a woman or a man, it doesn't matter. It's cheating. And that's really what we're talking about. We're not trying to out anybody or down anybody's sexuality. It's not about that. I think that we're all equal. So no matter who you're cheating on somebody with, you're still cheating. And that's really the crux of the story. So just wanted to say that. So with that being said, let's go in as to why I think it's Tom Sandoval. So there has been rumors that he has hooked up with Billie Lee, as we all know, is a trans woman. And, Jack said he believed it. Kristen said he believed it. Sheena Shea said she believed it. Also, Ariana said that Billie Lee had basically moved into the house with Tom Sandoval. So there's that sort of, history and precedent with that as well. Also, Tom Shorts doesn't really seem to have ever cheated with anybody who wasn't of the same sex. Not that that matters. You could be fluid, or you could, want to try something. Like, it doesn't matter. Like, it's all love is love. But if we're just talking about a pattern of behavior, it seems to me like it would point a little bit more to Tom Sandoval. So with that one, you guys, let me know what you guys think. Do you think that this is true? Do you think that Tom Sandoval is already out here in West Hollywood cheating on his new girlfriend, Victoria Lee Robinson? And then also, do you think that this is just a PR relationship? Do you think that this is real? Or do you think it's a real relationship, or do you think it's PR? I personally think the blind item, again, these are all just allegations, they're not proven facts, but I think the blind item is talking about Tom Sandoval, and I do believe the rumors that he hooked up with Billie Lee. And then I also think that this relationship is a PR relationship. I think this was a model who tried to date A-listers. That didn't pan out, and now she kind of wants to get back into the public eye, and this was probably her way of doing it. I had never heard of her until she was linked to Sandoval, but she's also been linked to Leonardo DiCaprio, and as we know, he allegedly has so many PR relationships. So let me know what you guys think. Put it down below, and before you do that, be sure to like, subscribe, and share. So with that, let's move on to our next story. So, one second, you guys. Okay. So, as we know, Real Housewives of New York, the reboot, is looking to add some new ladies, but they may have fallen flat with the alleged newbie, Rebecca Minkoff, because she's been filming, but it has been exposed that she has deep ties to Scientology. She gave them millions of dollars, and she is very close to Danny Masterson, who, as we all know, is also a Scientologist, and he was also just sentenced to, maybe a couple months ago, years in prison for having, how do I say this? For essaying multiple women. You know what I mean? So let's get right into the story. And then I also have a little clip on this to share with you guys. So this is according to Radar Online. And it says, Bravo fans will have plenty of drama to watch in the next season of The Real Housewives of New York, especially now that one of the ladies is a full-fledged Scientologist. Fashion designer Rebecca Minkoff has deep ties to the church and its high-profile members, including disgraced jailbird Danny Masterson, with her family being said to be one of the most powerful family names in the controversial religious group. I personally think it's a cult. That's my personal belief. Rebecca grew up in the church with her brother Yuri and their parents, Dr. David Minkoff and Sue Minkoff. Her father was involved in one of the most sensationalized scandals of the church Scientology's history, paying $100K as part of a wrongful death lawsuit involving the 1995 passing of Scientologist Lisa McPherson, according to the Tampa Bay Times. Also, you guys, and again, I'll say alleged, but isn't the wife of the leader of the Scientologists like missing? Like no one has seen or heard from this woman in years. Word on the street is that she probably wanted to leave and like blow the whistle on everything, and then she just disappeared. Like nobody knows where this woman is. Like justice for her. Anyway, the Daily Mail did a deep dive into Rebecca and her life as a Scientologist after it was revealed that she was the newest member of the Real Housewives of New York. She has reportedly started filming season 15 with Sai, Uba, Aaron, Jenna, Jessel, and Bryn. Her religion, which she has openly spoken about, will likely be a hot topic of discussion among the women. According to the Underground Bunker, Rebecca's family was awarded the church's prestigious Diamond something status when, yikes, when they hit $5 million in donations. She's been a member for decades and has rubbed shoulders with some of the most famous Scientologists in Hollywood, including Dharma and Greg actress Jenna Elfman and Danny Masterson. Now, don't forget, this is the same Tom Cruise Scientology that like Katie Holmes escaped with her daughter. And Leah Remini has talked about this, like exposing Scientology. She has like documentaries on it. Allegedly, also a little bit of tea. Remember when Leah Remini and Jennifer Lopez used to be thick as thieves? Well, apparently Jennifer Lopez is, and then again, this is all alleged, is a Scientologist. And when Leah left the church, that was the reason why their friendship broke, was because J-Lo is a secret Scientologist. And once that happened, they had to split and no longer be friends. Because if you notice now, J-Lo and Leah are no longer friends. She was not at the wedding with her and Ben Affleck. According to that, I am definitely team Leah Remini with that one. J-Lo is very sus. She's very weird. Anyway, as this outlet reported, Danny Masterson was convicted of sexually taking advantage and not getting the consent of two women in the early 2000s at the height of his television career. He's serving his 30-year sentence at the California Men's Colony in San Luis, wherever he is. Photos showing the new Real House of New York star's friendship with the now incarcerated That 70s Show actor date back decades to as early as 2004. The most recent image of Rebecca with Masterson appears to be from 2015 at an event for a fashion label. Despite his conviction, the picture is still on her Facebook page. Right, because she doesn't care and it's really sad and it's super disgusting. And you guys should also do a deep dive into like all the celebrities who wrote letters to the judge for leniency, like Ashton Kutcher. And that's why Ashton and his wife, what is her name? Mila Kunis, they got kicked off of, they had some sort of like charity for like children. And it was like, sir, how are you sending letters to a judge asking for leniency because your friend was sexually assaulting women, but yet you want to be the head of a charity about children trafficking or something like that? So yeah, no, thank you. So he had to step down because obviously that's disgusting. Okay. RadarOnline.com told you Rebecca was dragged into a lawsuit involving ex-church member Valerie Haney last year, who sued Scientology, accusing the organization of holding her against her will during her time working as part of the Sea Org near Hemet, California. Haney claimed that since she escaped the church, she's been subjected to harassment, including surveillance, imitation, and internet attacks. The Church of Scientology denied her allegations. Haney nominated Elfman and Rebecca as arbiters in the legal mess. Rebecca proudly addressed her faith and defended Scientology in a New York Times profile published in 2021. I think there's a lot of confusion when people hear the word religion. Immediately you hear, I pray to L. Ron Hubbard, the designer said. I study it, I take classes, and that's the extent of it. And it's helped me stay centered. I don't have all the answers. When I needed someone, it was a place for me to get some answers, Rebecca continued, before slamming critics of the church for allegedly spreading horrific misinformation. Girl, bye. Bravo daddy Andy Cohen, oh, daddy, 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 Andy, didn't bat an eyelash when he was confronted about Rebecca being a member of the church. When asked about her involvement in the upcoming season, Cohen teased, "I can't say anything," before his Sirius XM radio host co-host said, "I didn't realize she's a Scientologist. That's fun." These guys are gross. And of course, Andy can't say anything because he doesn't have the power to hire or fire. So he's not playing coy because he wants to play coy. He's playing coy because he doesn't know. He learns about the casting when we do. Cohen was silent and changed the topic immediately. It's unclear if Rebecca will be holding an apple with the ladies or else she'll just be appearing as a friend of this season. RadarOnline.com has reached out to Bravo for comment. Yikes, yikes, and yikes. Now that we know she is a Scientologist, she's friends with a convicted sex offender, do you think she should be allowed to join the Real Housewives of New York? Are those reasons to not cast her, or do you think, yeah, she's in something that the majority of people might consider a cult, holding people against their will, intimidating people and all that stuff, but that doesn't mean she shouldn't join the show? I personally don't want to see that. I think that anytime you give, and this is just my personal belief, I do believe Scientology is a cult. That's just my personal belief. And I think anytime you give cults and people in a cult a platform, yes, the majority of people will be turned off, but there will be people who will be sucked in. So I would rather just not take the chance and not give it the platform. And it seems like Bravo might be walking back, bringing Rebecca Minkoff off. At first we're like, oh, Rebecca Minkoff joining, she's filming with the girls. And then once everything hit about Scientology and Danny Masterson, all of a sudden it's like, well, she's filming, but we're not sure if she's cast or not. Maybe she'll be a friend of. Who knows? Also, when it comes to this stuff, who's ever casting these shows need to do their due diligence a little bit better. We don't want another Anna Marie Wiley who gets cast on Beverly Hills, and then a week later, her husband has all these lawsuits for allegedly, essaying all of these women. It's like another one of those situations where it's like you didn't do a Google search. Diana Jenkins, another one, they cast her on Beverly Hills, and then it turns out she's had trafficking allegations and being a madam and all these allegations for decades against her. And on that one, production knew all that and they still cast her, which in my personal opinion is quite disgusting when you know this person has all these allegations and you still cast them on the show. This isn't white collar fraud. Oh, these people, which isn't good either. I'm not justifying that either, obviously, but there's a huge difference between white collar fraud, money crimes, versus people who are being sexually taken advantage of or trafficked or essayed or all of that stuff. Those are two totally different situations, right? So I feel like if you know somebody has the allegations of the latter, why are you casting them? It's disgusting. So I personally don't want to watch her. I want her off. And I hope that now Bravo knows about this. They won't play in our faces and have her on. I think I have a little video to play. Do have a little video played to give a little bit more context to this. So let's watch.
Rebecca Minkoff is in talks to be the newest housewife on the Real Housewives of New York City. But are they going to be talking about her involvement with Scientology? Here's a new blind item. Speaking of the celebrity cult, will the Housewives channel mention their latest addition is a member of the celebrity cult, or are they just going to let that slide? And again, this allegedly Scientology, Bravo, Rebecca Minkoff, and the Real Housewives of New York. And the related headline reads, what Rebecca Minkoff has said about being a Scientologist before Real Housewives of New York. The news that designer Rebecca Minkoff is filming with the Real Housewives of New York City cast has brought with it some fascinating questions. Mainly, will Minkoff's beliefs as a Scientologist play a role in season 15 of the Bravo stable? A source close to production told Us Weekly that Minkoff has been shooting with some of the ladies for the upcoming season in an unspecified role, but however much of her fans end up seeing this season, viewers should not expect her to shy away from her religion. Minkoff's relationship to Scientology is her own, as the profile highlighted. She identifies both as Jewish and a Scientologist. She refers to the church as more of a self-improvement philosophy.
Yeah, I'm good on her. Like, I don't need her to be on the screen. I'm personally, no, thank you. No, thank you. Because again, if she's saying that she views what they call church as a self-improvement philosophy, well, then it's not really your religious beliefs if you're saying it's a self-improvement place. So if Scientology is just a wellness center for self-improvement, where there has been documented via lawsuits and documentaries of abuse, kidnapping people, holding people against their will, sexual abuse, financial abuse, emotional abuse, then yeah, get off my screen because you are supporting a wellness center that abuses people. So if you're saying Scientology is not your religion, and you're saying that they call it a church, but it's really just a place for self improvement and philosophy, then you're basically saying Scientology is a wellness center. So then you don't get the same protections that other, quote, religious establishments should get. So in that case, get off my screen if you're supporting a wellness center that abuses people. Girl, bye. Bye-bye, bye-bye, bye-bye. But I want to know what you guys think. I personally think that, and this is just me, I kind of felt like the RHONY reboot was boring. And the reason why I think it was boring is because they should have done one of two things. Number one, they should have been either honest or they should have cast actual friends. And I'll break down what I mean by that. They should have either been honest and said, we're putting a group together of women who don't really know each other to see how their friendships and relationships grow and evolve. That would have been cool. And I think it would have been much more interesting because then they could have at least been honest and authentic that they weren't actually friends. And I think the dynamic would have been very different and the show would have been very different if they're honest. Or two, actually cast women who are friends. I'm not saying all of them have to be friends, but you have to cast at least 2 or 3 who are friends and then bring in other people because the stakes are so low with this women because they don't actually know or like each other. I don't care what you tell me, none of these women were actually friends. They may have seen each other at parties, they may have known of each other, but none of these women were friends. You're not going to tell me Aaron and Uba were actually friends. You're not going to tell me that Bryn and Jessel were actually friends. These women weren't friends. So when production tries to lie in our faces, like this is a group of friends, it doesn't make sense because we're not idiots. So either actually cast women who are friends. Again, all of them don't have to be best friends, but like at least a couple of true friendships, or just be honest and then let the show organically evolve the way it needs to. Because when you're not honest about it, then you have women pretending to be friends, having alliances rather than friendships. And that never reads well because it's so obvious that you guys have a pact, you know? That's why it kind of fell flat to me. It was a bit boring. So I'm interested to see what happens with season 2. I do think they need to add some more women. I wasn't a big Jenna Lyons fan. I was confused about how the world was like going crazy for Jenna Lyons. I didn't think she gave anything to the show personally. So, I mean, we'll see. But to me, it seems a little bit boring and flat because these women don't know each other and they don't really seem to like each other. So it's kind of boring and flat, but that's just me. So as you guys let me know, put it down below, and will you be watching RHONY? And also, who should they cast? Who are some cool and upcoming women in New York? I personally don't know. I would have to do some research, but that's just kind of a question for you guys in case you know of anybody. So as always, be sure to like, subscribe, and share. So with that, let's move on to our next story. Okay, you guys. Is Kyle Richards out at Real Housewives of Beverly Hills? she has yet to confirm if she's coming back to Beverly Hills, and she says she's still on the fence. Don't forget, the report was leaked that the executives at Bravo are basically, like, the producers are like, listen, Kyle, if you're not honest about whatever little relationship you have with Morgan Wade on the show, then you're fired and you can't come back. Which I think, finally, producers, I think it's a new day at Bravo. I think they're done placating. I think they're done having their puppets. I think Bravo is getting an overhaul, and I think Bravo's cleaning house. We're seeing a lot of people fired. We're seeing Andy Cohen's feet to the fire, allegations that he's basically being demoted other than Watch What Happens Live. And if you guys are watching Watch What Happens Live, the show is dismal. The ratings aren't that great. The guests are kind of lackluster. Like, that's really kind of fading away too. And, you know, they basically demoted Giselle by putting her at the second chair next to Karen, not, you know, squaring away. They fired Robin. Like, they fired Lisa Rinna. Like, they're basically putting everybody on notice and on blast. And I think that it's a huge thing that they would publicly say, Kyle, if you don't start telling the truth and showing your life, then you will be fired. Like, did we ever think Kyle's position could be threatened? So I think it's going to be a new day at Bravo. I think it's very refreshing. I'm happy to hear it. I'm happy to see it, because Bravo definitely needs some new blood, some new fresh casting, fresh talent, new producers, and all of that. So with that being said, let's dive into this story. So Lisa Vanderpump, as always, does not mince her words, and she always comes to play. So let's first talk about Kyle Richards being unsure about her return, and then we'll get into what Lisa Vanderpump had to say about it. And I do have a little clip on Lisa being really super shady that we can watch as well. Okay, so this is from All About the Real Housewives. It says Kyle Richards reveals she hasn't made any decisions about returning to the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills for season 14. The Real Housewives of Beverly Hills OG insists she hasn't made a decision yet. During a recent Amazon Live, one Real Housewives of Beverly Hills fan told Kyle's, "It looks like you're rejoining Real Housewives of Beverly Hills." She responded, "I haven't said anything yet. I know there are reports online that I'm not coming back. Others saying I am coming back. The conversation is TBD," Kyle Richards added. The 55-year-old previously said her decision to return would be a last-minute choice. "People keep asking me, are you going to come back? Are you going to leave? And it's always something I decide, last minute," she told Extra. Kyle explained, I think this season particularly because I have been so under the microscope." I don't know what she meant. Maybe this season was particularly hard. Anyway, not just, with the cast and the public eye, and it's been very challenging to navigate through that one. I'm just trying to figure out my life myself. So it'll be a last minute decision is what I'm trying to say. The OG previously hinted at taking a break from living her life in front of the cameras. While chatting with Access Hollywood's Housewives Nightcap podcast in February of 2024, Kyle admitted that she could see herself walking away from Housewives for a bit after this particularly difficult season. Now, this is also something to think about. Is Kyle Richards being so like, I don't know if I'm coming back or not, because maybe she has an opportunity to join Buying Beverly Hills season 3 full time? That could also be a reason why she's being so coy about it, because don't forget, Buying Beverly Hills, and again, Buying Beverly Hills is the reality show that her estranged husband, Mauricio Umansky, has about his real estate company, The Agency. All of her daughters are on the show. So maybe she will, join it. Season 1, she was in it for like a split second on a FaceTime call, but season 2, compared to season 1, she was much more heavily involved in the show. She was shopping at Hermes. She was popping in and talking to Mauricio and having these really hard conversations with her and the girls about the split. She was much more heavily featured in season 2 than she was in season 1. So with that being said, and also one of the biggest storylines for Buying Beverly Hills was the Mauricio and Kyle split. That was the biggest storyline for that show. And that's really why it had a huge bump in ratings, because everyone was dialing in to see what happened with Kyle and Mauricio, because Kyle didn't give any juice or spill any tea on Beverly Hills. We all had to get it from Netflix with buying Beverly Hills. So my guess is she's probably weighing the two contracts to see whether she can do both, buying Beverly Hills and Real Housewives, or seeing which contract will be more lucrative and which one will make the most sense for her to join. That's what I think is really going on here. All of this BS about last season was so hard. Oh my God, I could walk away from reality TV. Kyle, stop lying. I think she's trying to figure out if she can do both shows, and if not, which contract would be the most lucrative, the Netflix one or the Bravo one. That's what I really think is going on here. I think it's more of a business decision than Kyle being like, oh my God, this is so hard. Like, Kyle, shut up. Okay. When it comes to casting for season 14, a mini shakeup is already in the works. Like I said before, Bravo is really doing an overhaul. You know, Crystal Kalminkoff was recently fired. So is Anna Marie Wiley was fired. Dorit is also reportedly at risk of being let go or demoted to a friend of. Like, they are not playing at Bravo. They are really cleaning house. Rumor has it Kathy Hilton will rejoin for season 14 as a friend of. I think there's like an open invitation for Kathy. They're supposed to be starting filming very soon, late April, so within the next week or so. So we'll see with all of that. But of course, we had to have our OG favorite, Lisa Vanderpump, weigh in on the situation. So this is from page 6. Lisa Vanderpump is shrugging off Kyle Richards and Morgan Wade relationships rumors, because remember, again, the producers have said, unless Kyle talks about her relationship with Morgan Wade, she's fired. This was on the record. It's been reported in page 6 and Radar Online and Reality Blurb. It is out there. They are fed up with Kyle saying that, you know, it's nobody's business when that's literally her job. So they're saying, if you don't show us, you're fired. When asked about a recent Daily Mail report claiming her former Real Housewives of Beverly Hills co-star will not be asked to return to the Bravo reality show unless she goes public with her alleged romance, Vanderpump wondered why the world has to know. The SUR owner told Parade on Monday that she personally does not want to know who is munching on anything. Gotta love a little bit of the LVP shade. She is coming absolutely through. And again, I think it's really funny because I think that I think Kyle would want to be friends with LVP. She had her name in her mouth all of last season, but I don't think that Lisa Vanderpump is ready to go back down that road. She asked, "How about that? I don't care. What do you've got to do, and keep it to yourself?" TikTok users freaked out over her response, with one jokingly comparing the Vanderpump Rules star to an old-timey villain. Another likened her to an unbothered queen, giving social media users a masterclass and responding to tough questions. I agree. I'm a Lisa Vanderpump stan. I love her. She can do no wrong in my eyes. I think she's great. That was such a Lisa answer, a third wrote of the classy and witty quip, which others labeled kind of homophobic, to be honest. I don't think, how is that homophobic? Like, people need to calm down. There is nothing homophobic about what she said. Lisa Vanderpump starred on The Real Housewives of Beverly Hills from 2010 to 2019. She had exited the series by the time Richards and her estranged husband, Mauricio Umansky, documented their separation on the 13th season. Vanderpump starred, oh, that's right. Sorry, 1 second, you guys. On the 13th season. News of their split broke in July of 2023 amid headlines about Richard's close friend with Morgan Wade, a 29-year-old singer. While the duo have maintained in multiple interviews that their bond is platonic, they set tongues wagging with a steamy music video for Fall in Love with Me in August of 2023. The pair further feud rumors in March when Richards left a flirty comment on an Instagram video of Wade wearing a cowboy hat. I have a question. Morgan Wade is, and not that it matters, because again, I always say this disclaimer when we ever talk about sexuality. It's from a place of love and inclusivity, but we do discuss it because that's a part of the human experience. But when we talk about it, we are all equal, so we can all get the tea, we can all get the shade because we're all equal and love is love. Now, Morgan Wade is bisexual, right? Because she was in a long-term relationship with this guy. I forgot what his name is. Who was a part of her band, who is now conveniently and suspiciously a real estate agent for Mauricio's company. He works for the agency. So don't you think it's weird that Morgan's long time and very, very serious boyfriend, like she was like, this man is wonderful. This is the love of my life. I basically started this band to be with him. I wrote songs to get him back. Like Morgan was like obsessed with this guy. I forget what his name is, but just Google it and it'll pop up. But don't you think it's a little suspect that literally the love of Morgan Wade's life, who was a man, just so happens to now work for Mauricio Umansky, when all of a sudden, and this was only, and she was with him only a couple years ago. This isn't like her high school crush. This was like a couple years ago. And she's been rumored to be with Kyle for a couple of years. So there is a little bit of overlap going on here. Now, isn't it weird that then all of a sudden, now Morgan Wade is rumored to be Kyle's lesbian lover? Now, we do know Morgan did date another woman in between. I think her name was like Carly or something like that. She was another reality TV star. So we do know that she has previously dated women and men. But I do think it's suspicious that the love of her life, who was a man, now works for Mauricio Umansky, who is Kyle Richards' estranged husband. You want to talk about PR relationships? You want to talk about it being a little bit too close to home? Let me know what you guys think about that. Dun, 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 dun. Wow. So let's hear it from Lisa Vanderpump's mouth herself. Let's see what our queen had to say.
Daily Mail is reporting that Kyle Richards will not be able to return to the show unless she comes public about her relationship with Morgan Wade. Do you have any thoughts on that? No?
Why do we have to know about a relationship? Like, I don't want to know who's munching on anything. I don't care. How about that? I don't care. Like, do what you got to do and keep it to yourself. Okay?
Lisa Vanderpump is an OG, and I absolutely love her. So what do you guys think about this? Do you kind of agree with my theory that Kyle is playing coy about coming back because she's weighing her options on whether or not she wants to come back to Buying Beverly Hills versus Real Housewives, or if she can do both? Because I do think that Buying Beverly Hills needs her. They need her on the show. They need the storyline. They need the Bravo audience, I think, in order for Netflix to keep the show going. So let me know what you guys think. And oh, thank you, Gail. That's right. Joseph Joe Link. That's right. Joseph Joe Link is Morgan Wade's ex-boyfriend, who she was like crazy in love with, who is now working for Mauricio. Obviously, Mauricio's like the top person and he's working underneath, other agents and stuff because it is like a little franchise. But I think that's a little suspicious. Of all of the real estate agencies in the world, he just so happens to land a job at Mauricio's literally the same exact time that Morgan starts to hang out with Kyle. It's a little suspicious. It's a little sus. But as always, you guys, put it down below. Let me know what you guys think. And I think actually the bigger question is, do we need Kyle? Do we actually need Kyle to come back for season 14 of The Real Housewives of Beverly Hills? Or would it actually kind of be a little refreshing without her? So put it down below and let me know what you guys think. As always, be sure to like, subscribe, and share. So with that, let's move on to our next story, which is all about Lala Kent sharing what Katie told her off camera and really what's going on with the girls, denying that she said Katie is miserable. And then I'll tell you guys what I think is really going on here. So this is according to Reality Blurb. It says Lala Kent was accused of calling Katie Maloney miserable on the latest episode of Vanderpump Rules, but according to her, she never used that particular word, which is true because, again, it turned out she said she thought Katie was unhappy, which is very, very different than calling somebody miserable. Also, Allie to me is a sniper from the side. She always relays the tea and carries the bone, but she never does it in a way that's clean. She adds different words. She throws people under the bus. She did it last season with Katie and Ariana, talking about saying Katie said that Ariana and Tom are in an open relationship and that it was Katie who made the big deal about Raquel and Tom hanging out at the Abbey, when all of that was a lie. It was Allie who was making the big deal of it, and it was Raquel who was the one that was saying that Tom and Ariana were in an open relationship. So Allie multiple times has lied on people. Okay. As Lala 33 denied Allie's claim against her, she explained why she felt that Katie was unhappy amidst filming on season 11 last year, as Katie clapped back by suggesting it wasn't a fair assessment and suspecting Lala was deflecting from her own potential unhappiness. I vividly remember not saying the word miserable. I actively tried to steer clear of that word. Lala insisted on the April 16th episode of Pump Rules After Show, but Katie seems very unhappy to me. According to Lala, her assessment of Katie's mental state wasn't only due to what she saw from Katie when cameras were rolling, but also things Katie told her when they weren't. Now, this is where I'm going to say production, they are doing the absolute most and they need to stop, because on the after show, production says to Katie, "Oh, what did you think of Allie telling you that Lala called you miserable?" So then Katie responds to thinking that Lala called her miserable. But then when they're doing the interview with Lala, and they're like, Allie said you called Katie miserable. And she's like, "No, I didn't." And then they actually roll the footage of Lala calling her unhappy, which clearly means Allie is lying. So production is dirty. They had the footage. They knew for a fact Allie was lying. But yet they pose the question to Katie as if Allie is telling the truth. Like, production, you're messy as hell. You're messy as hell. Stop producing. The people will make, that's another problem with Vanderpump Rules. It is so heavily produced by the producers and the talent that it's no longer fun to watch, and you see how sloppy they're being. Literally in 1 second, you're saying Allie to Katie, Allie said that Lala called you miserable. In the next scene, they're rolling footage of Lala not saying that, but they're rolling the footage to Lala, not to Katie. See, it's so stupid. And then I'm going to tell you also what I really think is going on here. So we got all that. Let's get to what blah, 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 blah. Okay. She has said to me that she didn't picture her life this way. She did not picture herself a year and a half, 2 years out of her relationship, still being single and it being this hard to find good dudes, Lala revealed. I think that also kind of like weighs on her. She wants a companion, but she forgets that men in these streets are scrubs, Lala added. I don't agree with that. I think there are a lot of good men in the world, but whatever. Meanwhile, in her own segment with Ariana Madix, Katie said she didn't know why Lala would say she was miserable. See how they're pinning themselves against each other, knowing that Allie was the one who was actually lying. Anyway, she gets all into it, but I'm going to tell you what I think is really going on here. I think that Katie and Lala were really close, and I don't think this has anything to do with Katie being unhappy or miserable, or whatever the case is. I think Lala's real beef with Katie is that I bet you Katie has, complained and vented about Ariana behind the scenes, off camera, to Lala about something about her, about Ariana's ego and big head, about her being very difficult, about all of that stuff. I think that Katie, behind the scenes, kitchen table talk, girl to girl, has really vented about Ariana. But when cameras pick back up and when the cameras are on and to Ariana's face, Katie is basically kissing Ariana's butt, And I think Lala is feeling some type of way about that. but this is what I think should have happened. I think Katie should just say to Lala, listen, you and I both know the deal. We know that Ariana has never liked us. She's never had our back. She's never defended us. And she was always just, team Tom Sandoval and rode hard for him. Now, all of a sudden that it's happened to her, she expects us to have some type of girl code and have her back when she's never had that for us. However, I need to stick with Ariana because one, I don't want the world to go against me, because anytime you say anything against Ariana, all of a sudden you're mean, you're miserable, you're jealous, blah, 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 blah. Miss me with all of that BS. And so I think that, like, look what happened to Sheena. Fans were going so mean. Oh, Sheena, you make everything about you. They were trolling her Chili's commercial that she did, where Brock had to come out and be like, you guys, like, be nice to my wife, send her some love, when Sheena's just trying to make some money out here doing the Chili's commercial. Like, it has to stop. Like, it's really ridiculous. Like, Ariana is not God. She's not this untouchable person. To be honest with you, she doesn't even seem like a nice or good person. Her personality isn't that likable. So I'm super confused why people think that they have to, like, go against people who have any type of opinion about Ariana that's not like, oh, queen. She's not my queen. Like, no, thank you. Like, it really needs to stop, and it's over the top. And, like, at this point, it's kind of sick. The people who, like, attack other people who just doesn't rock with Ariana, it's sick, And I think that is where Lala is coming from. I think that's really why Lala has an issue with Katie. But I think if they had the conversation and Katie was like, listen, I agree with you about Ariana, but I need to get something about her open. I have a lot of money on the table, and I can't at this point really afford to have all of the people in the comment section coming at me and have the audience turn. And I think Lala, in turn, should go to Katie on the side and be like, listen, I'm meeting up with Joe, not because I like Joe, but because production told me to. And I'm trying to keep my job, and I'm trying to keep the show going because we need new people to join the show. We need new storylines. It can't just be Ariana being mad at Tom Sandoval acting like the weirdo he is. That's not going to sustain the show. And we basically need new people and new storylines to keep the show going. I'm trying to keep my check. I'm trying to stay on the show, and I'm trying to keep the show going. Work with me. I don't really like Joe or care about her, but producers asked me to. Same thing with with Lala's phone call to Rachel. I don't think she really wanted to call Rachel, but I think producers wanted Raquel to come back to the show, and they're like, well, let's get Lala to do it. Seems like she would be the best person. Lala is following directions. Okay, Lala is following directions because she wants to keep her paycheck and she wants to keep the show on the air. And I don't understand why these two grown women can't come together and just have a real conversation, because that's really what's going on, in my opinion, as why they're having this falling out. Lala is basically like, Katie, I know you don't like Ariana like that, but you're leaving me out here to dry. And Katie's like, Lala, why are you calling Rachel? Why are you meeting up with Joe when you know Joe was with Shorts, all this stuff? Lala is trying to keep her job. And to be honest with you, Katie is trying to keep something about her, and she's trying to keep the favor of the audience. That's it. Just come together at the kitchen table, lay your cards out, and stop beefing. I also think a part of the storyline for season 11 was they had to have a villain. They had to have someone and not Tom Sandoval, because it's like he can't, sure, he's the villain, but not in any meaningful way. Like, he's kind of like measly, a weasel with a mustache. Like, nobody's taking Tom Sandoval serious. He's kind of like, quite frankly, he's really sad at this point. Like, dude, give it up. But they needed more conflict. They needed more storyline. They needed more drama. So if it was not the story of Lala versus Ariana this season, what exactly else would we be talking about? What else is going on this show other than Lala versus Ariana? Lala is clocking in on the job. They're trying to create conflict. They're trying to create drama. What else would we be talking about in Vanderpump Rules? I'll wait. Nobody cares about Joe and Shorts storyline. Who cares? I'm happy that Lala has her baby, and she went through the sperm donor and all that, great. But again, great teachable moment, but is that going to carry a season? No. I personally think they had too many episodes about it. I think 1 to 2 episodes would have been fine. They dragged that out for as long as they could. Happy for her, great teachable moment, normalizing, you know, different avenues of conceiving. Cool. But is that really why I'm tuning into Vanderpump Rules for 16 episodes? I don't think so. You know, the whole thing with Katie and Schwartz hooking up with the same girl, that is whack to me. Totally fake, totally set up. And again, who cares? Nobody really cares about that. You know, Sheena and Brock, that's a little interesting, to be honest with you. Them fighting, that's actually, yeah, that's kind of interesting because we know, you know, payroll husband and everything. But other than that, and then James and like, you know, Witchy Poo Alley, you know, AI Alley, James is funny. He has good one-liners, but he doesn't really make sense to be on the show anymore. James should be out, you know, DJing. Like nobody works there anymore. So like what else is going on this show that's actually going to retain an audience? Because I think people tuned into season 10 retrospectively to see if they could pick up on clues about the whole Sandoval thing. For not Sandoval, season 10 would have been a flop, boring as hell, and the show probably would have been canceled. But everybody tuned into season 10 to watch retrospectively to pick up on clues and everything. Everybody tuned into season 11 to see the fallout aftermath. Who the hell is tuning into season 12 with what we currently have? I'm personally not probably won't do it because what's going on in the show, we're not invested in these people. They're not actually friends anymore. They're boring as hell. Every storyline seems fake and forced, and I don't want to look at Ariana's stink face every single episode. Lala is just clocking in because she wants to keep the paycheck coming. That's why I think she's going to go to the Valley, because she wants the paycheck and she wants to stay famous. And I'm not mad at that. That's like that's like you going to work and your coworker wanting to keep their job, wanting to keep the lights on at the company you're working with. You know, the problem is they're not coming together and having a game plan and being like, listen, this is what the deal is. That's really what's going on here. So that's I don't know. When it comes to all of this, I understand Katie. I think Katie is still really hurting. I understand Lala wanting to keep her job and keep the paycheck. And that's pretty much it that's going on here. This little feud between Katie and Lala, to me, is kind of boring. It doesn't really matter. The stakes are really low because I think these are two women who actually like each other, but they're just not communicating with what the real agenda is, you know? So that's what I really think is going on. They will be fine. It's really not that big of a deal. And the stakes aren't high on the show. Like, if any of these couples break up, would anybody really care? To be honest with you, if any of these friendships dissolved, would anybody really care? Because I don't really buy it in the first place. So I want to know what you guys think. You know, are you watching Vanderpump Rules? Will you tune in for season 12 if they have a new season? What do you think about Lala and Katie? Is the beef real, or are they just not communicating? And what do you think is going to happen at the reunion? Apparently there's some big bombshell at the reunion. I hope it's a real bombshell and not the fake bombshells that they usually tell us. I hope it's real. So as always, put it down below and let me know what you guys think. And as always, be sure to like, subscribe, and share. So with that, let's move on to our next story. Okay, so this is all about Mary Cosby reportedly calling Lisa Barlow's 12-year-old child the R word amid a big fight. Yikes. And then Mary allegedly clapped back in a since deleted Instagram post. So let's dive into this mess. So this is from Reality Blurb. And as you guys may or may not know, I am a Lisa Barlow stan. I really love Lisa Barlow. I think Mary Cosby is really mean. I think sometimes she has some good shade, but overall, I think she's very mean-spirited and is a wackadoodle. That's just how I personally feel. But let me know what you guys think. Are you a Mary Cosby stan? Are you a Lisa Barlow stan? Neither one of them. What are your thoughts on these women? Put it below. So this is according to Reality Blurb. It says Mary Cosby allegedly slammed Lisa Barlow's 12-year-old son Henry during a, quote, crazy fight earlier this month amid production on the upcoming 5th season of The Real Housewives of Salt Lake City. According to a new report, Mary and Lisa were filming scenes for the new season when Mary suddenly targeted the mental capacity of Lisa's child, who she shares with husband John Barlow. Page 6 shared the news with readers on April 22nd, noting that multiple sources had confirmed the alleged incident and said fellow cast members, including Heather, Whitney, Meredith, and Angie, were bothered by Mary's behavior. The entire cast was beyond grossed out, one source stated about the use of the R word, when you're talking about someone who may have certain mental challenges or capacity. I think you guys know what that word is, but I'm not personally going to say it on my channel, so, you know. As Real Housewives of Salt Lake City's fans may know, Lisa shares both Henry and Jack, who is currently on a mission trip in Bogota, Colombia with John. Although the incident reportedly caused a stir amongst the ladies, the second source shared that Lisa and Mary ultimately reconciled and are currently together in Puerto Vallarta, Mexico for a cast trip. They made amends over the situation and are moving on, the insider revealed. In addition to what prompted Mary's supposed verbal attack against Henry being unclear, it is also not known whether the scene in question will be featured in season 5. Now, Mary, you don't need to be talking about anybody's child when your child is out here wreaking havoc on humanity. Your son is out here getting DUIs. He's out here posting on Instagram and TikTok and Snapchat doing, illegal substances. He's out here doing the most. So you need to worry about your own son, okay? Before Mary's alleged slandering of Henry, the reality star, who is married to her step-grandfather, Robert Cosby Sr., came under fire for things said to her former co-stars, including Jen Shaw, whom she labeled a, quote, Mexican thug, and Jenny, whose, quote, slanted eyes she pointed out amid a lunch date. Yeah, Mary has had some very, very problematic things. Mary has also been involved in a controversy relating to her church, which has been compared to a cult. Again, in my personal opinion, I do think her church is very cultish, cult-like, probably is a cult, I mean. What I consider to be a cult, and this is just my personal belief. This is my belief system. I'm not saying it's right or wrong. I'm just saying this is what I personally believe to be true. Anytime something calls himself a religion, but the person that is worshipped is a human being, is the founder, is a dead prophet person, is a cult. In my personal belief system, the person, or the entity you should be worshiping should be God. Whatever you want to call God, but to me, it's God. So unless you are worshiping God the Father, God, it's a cult. Whenever you worship man, it's a cult. And allegedly, in Mary's church, she exalted herself to a godlike status where she allegedly wanted her congregation to worship her. So whenever the founder or the pastor or the person, man, woman, is what is being promoted as the thing you're supposed to worship and follow, to me, that is a cult. Like Scientology, in my opinion, is a cult. Other certain religions, cult. That's just my personal belief system. But let's keep going. Following the sharing of the story, Mary took to her Instagram with the statement, "Two sides to every story, my beautiful son," Mary wrote, according to a screenshot of her since-deleted post shared by Queens of Bravo Plus on Instagram. Then, after the post was shared, Mary edited the caption to simply state, "My beautiful son." She also added hashtags for Bravo, Peacock, Love, Live, Life, and Mom Life. I bet you the whole two sides to every story is maybe Lisa said, or whoever said something about Mary's son. She got in her little feelings and lashed out and then called Lisa Barlow's son the R word. Excuse me, ma'am. Henry is 12 years old. He's adorable. He's baby gorgeous. He's not the R word. And even if he was that word in a more acceptable term, whatever the case may be, it's still very derogatory and disgusting to call somebody's child that, So Mary Cosby, ma'am, I'm going to need you to focus on your own child who allegedly got married without you knowing, who was harboring a girl who had ran away from home in your house to the point where the police were called to come and get the girl that was at your house who had ran away from home. He's been arrested. He's had multiple DUIs. He's on TikTok and Instagram, drinking. Is he 21? Maybe he just turned it, but he was also doing illegal substances. So, ma'am, worry about your own child who might have some issues given the fact that his father is also his step-great-grandfather. Maybe that's why he's out here wilding out with these emotional issues and drinking and taking substances. And this isn't my opinion on this. This is what he showed himself on his own social media. So this isn't me making this up about this person. This is what he showed himself. All you have to do is Google it and you'll see. So, ma'am, you might want to worry about the mental health of your own child instead of coming out here maligning a 12-year-old boy. Because your son is over the age of 18. He's an adult. So talking about him is fair game. He is an adult. And he chooses to be on the show, so he's fair game. Henry's on the show, but he's 12. A little different. A 12-year-old child versus an adult man. Those are two different things. So worry about the mental health of your own child who is out here wilding out. Because again, I doubt he's gotten any therapy, but it's probably a lot to deal with, especially growing up, bullying, your mother, you're the product of your mother and your grandfather. I know they live in Utah, and I'm not trying to be derogatory about, kissing cousins or whatever, but again, that still has to be pretty difficult. So I understand if someone may have emotional issues working through what that feels like, especially with everything in Mary's family. Did her grandmother, unalive people? Did Mary unalive her own grandmother for the money and for the church and for the properties? There was a lot going on, all of those allegations. So there is that. So it's just a lot. It's just a lot. Mary, ma'am, I'm going to need you to have several seats. In my opinion, she's just a mean person. I don't even think she's funny with her quote shade. I think she's just really mean. She's a mean, nasty person. I don't know why she got asked back. Is she a full-timer or is she a friend of? I don't know. Anytime she was invited to do anything, she just sat in the Sprinter van and never participated. So who knows? Who knows? But as always, I want to know what you guys think. What do you think about Mary verbally attacking Lisa Barlow's 12-year-old child when her own son has a lot of issues that she might need to address with him? What do you guys think? And then also, are you tuning in for season 5 of The Real Housewives of Salt Lake City? I will be tuning in. I want to see what's going to happen. I'm happy they fired Monica. I think she was a cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs liability. Not allegedly, Monica came out and said it. She's pregnant with her 5th child with her 29-year-old boyfriend. So there's that. Congratulations, Monica. I'm never going to knock a child or especially like a baby. So congratulations, Monica. But she's also apparently out here still stalking Tanisha. So who knows what's going on with her. But I'll be tuning in. I want to see the dynamics with the women. And I want to see the 2 new housewives. They do have 2 new housewives who look exactly like Meredith and Lisa. So I want to see the dynamic with the new housewives. They are tall, super thin, long, dark hair. They are basically carbon copies of Lisa and Meredith. So I want to see how that dynamic goes. I hope Lisa and Meredith are friends because they are so much better together than apart. Absolutely love them together. Them fighting, it's boring. It's not a vibe. Them being besties, so much fun. But time will tell. So as always, you guys, be sure to like, subscribe, and share. And with that, I will open it up